It's a great time for me to stretch paper. We're waiting around during our hurricane, and I have gathered a bunch of elements to put this together. First of all, I have paper. I measured it out. I already know which drawing I want to put on here. And I have a bathtub full of water. Generally, you need a very large tub so that you can put the paper in and have it completely submerged. It doesn't have to be deep, it just needs water enough to cover your paper. I recommend never putting it so that your paper is in the tub and that you pour water on top of it. You should have it ready beforehand so that you don't make a soft spot or a thin spot directly on your paper. So you got to protect your paper edges. I'm going to submerge this, and while we're waiting for it to soak for a few minutes here, and you don't need very long, just make sure you're in a clean tub, your hands are clean, and that it can soak up the water. This is a 140-pound paper, and it may take maybe 3 to 5 minutes submerged. Heavier paper takes a little bit longer, and the reason why you want to stretch your paper, you don't want to do watercolor without your paper being stretched, because it takes on water, and as it dries it needs to, as it's wet it expands, and then when it dries it stretches out. But if you don't have it so that the edges are all stapled down or taped down, then you'll have a wavy surface, and you want a flat surface when you're doing watercolor. So I've gathered a few things over here to work with. First of all, I noticed my paper was too big, so I cut it off. You can usually take a straight edge and just kind of tear it if you know what edge you want to tear it along. We have a very large sponge to pick up the excess water, and this is gummed tape. It has I don't know if it's gum Arabic, or it's got a surface to it, so you can find it at a local art supply store. I've had this for quite some time, so getting one of these rolls, it'll last you a long time. Now, I don't generally stretch paper very often with using the tape. A lot of times I just use a staple gun, but I do use a staple gun in addition to this so that it doesn't pull away from the edges. In my experience, I've had it pull out from underneath the tape, and I don't like that to happen. But a reason for not doing this would be if I have a nice decal edge on the surface of on the paper edges, then I might want to show those when I'm done with the work. Those kind of paintings I try to do very heavy paper with, so that it doesn't tear the paper, and I repair the holes once I'm done with my painting. Now I've torn off these pieces of paper, or the rolled paper with the so that it can be taped down. You want to have it ready to go beforehand. Okay, and so we're ready to roll. I also have a board, and I've had this one obviously for a very long time. I have a handle on it. That's kind of recommended, to maybe put a handle so you can move it around, you know, very easily just with the handle. If you want to put some sort of rope or some tape over it, this one's, I haven't done anything with it for a long time. So when you're stretching paper, though, you want to have it so that the board, a nice sturdy thick enough board, it will lay flat while it's drying. And so what I want to do is just check this paper, and it should be ready to go, because it's not It's not very thick paper. You also want to make sure that you're getting it the right way. I'm looking for, along the edges, what I'm looking for is, I got this here, looking for a watermark on the paper. This one is by Watercolor. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I can show it in the, oh, there it is. Okay, if I show it up to the light, I can generally see it in the light. Watercolor. I don't know if you can see it. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, so just going to keep that up so that it can be read. It's in the corner on that side. And now with the sponge, I do want to have the sponge to be wet because I don't want to damage the surface of the watercolor paper. And get it wrung out pretty good. All right, now just we want to gently, and I want to place this so that the paper, the edge of the tape of the paper, I've got to have it go over, be able to extend beyond the edge. Watercolor paper surface is, some papers are very vulnerable to tearing, or the sizing that's on the surface that keeps the watercolor right on top of the paper as opposed to being absorbed right away into the paper. So you want to be gentle with it. So some of them, it can come off very easily. Arches is pretty tough. Watercolor, I don't have as much experience with it, but it's just a matter of dragging your sponge across to pick up the excess water so that it's very even all the way across. Okay, so before it dries, next thing we want, and I've got plenty of water here, is to take the surface of the tape and just kind of dip it in this manner so it touches a little bit. Because there will be plenty of water on it. You don't want it to be too much, and you certainly don't want to take that the sticky part off. All right, pressing it across. Is it still going? Mm-hmm. All right, we're almost done. You don't want too much water on this stuff.
Here we go, we're back.
So you want to make sure that you're that you what am I trying to say? You want to make sure that you work with the sticky part. You don't have too much water on it, and that's why I'm not really submerging it. And you want to have measured your drawing so that you're not really coming in on what your drawing will be, and you have actually an edge past your drawing as well, because you could lose too much space in it, and then your drawing doesn't fit. Here we go. Last one. And you want to try and get it straight, and that's not straight. Alright, getting a hair in here, and that's not good. Alright, press down everything, and if you've dropped water back on it accidentally, you can always take your sponge. I see some spots and I dripped some water. Pressing down the tape, you may find that you squeeze out a little bit of the water from it as well. Now, some people don't do this. I always do. Is to take, you don't need a big staple gun. This one I can do myself. I don't have that much strength in my hands, but this is a good one. And you start from the middle. Ooh, do I not have any left? That's the question.
No, there's none there. I do it.
Okay.
I thought you refilled it.
Oh, okay. No, apparently not. Well, in any case, and I'm seeing a little extra water right here. And you want to hit it in the middle, from the middle out in each edge. Middle out, each edge. They can be, 3 to 5 inches apart, but closer to the edge of your paper tape. And allow it to dry flat, and then you're ready to get a drawing transferred on or drawn directly onto your paper, and that's how we stretch paper. Be patient.